Christ is risen. Welcome to St. Cyril and Methodius Orthodox Church in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm Father Gregory, the pastor. Good to have you with us. So I thought this morning I would talk to you about this and that. This and that. That doesn't make any sense. Sounds like you're just going to speak randomly. Well, kind of. But actually, if you think about it for just a moment, most of our life is made up of this and that. Things that don't necessarily have any intrinsic connection to one another, and that just sort of come to us seemingly at random. I have to do this, I have to do that. And it is easy when my life is made up of this and that to sort of feel like I'm being poured out or stretched too thin, as we say. And so really the challenge is how to balance this and that, how to balance all the disparate elements of my life. As we've talked about before, this is fundamentally what we mean by the life of virtue. The life of virtue is that which allows us to bring together into a whole or into harmony the often disparate seeming aspects of our life. Well, what is that integrating structure? What is it that brings all these things together? What is it that makes this and that a unified whole? Well, fundamentally, it's our heart, which is why for the fathers of the church, what was most important was not external activity, but inward stillness. In order to bring together the disparate elements of my life, I need to journey inward, and I need to rest in my own heart and there hear the voice of God. Instead, what we often do is we think that if we can just organize our outside world a little bit better, everything will be fine. But the fact of the matter is that my outside world, my daily life, is really dependent upon decisions that other people make over which, and I have no control over their decisions because I have no control over these persons. And then, of course, there are simply the fact that events often outstrip my best intentions. The fact of the matter is that if I look outward to try to bring together my life into a whole that way, I am setting myself up for failure and frustration. Really and truly, how I bring this and that together into a whole is by making that inward journey. And that inward journey, by the way, is not withdrawal in a negative sense, but it is coming to rest in my own heart, like I said a moment ago, and to hear the voice of God so that, inspired by His grace, I can embrace the different elements of my life in love. To embrace them in love doesn't mean that I pretend that there aren't bad things going on in my life, because certainly there are. But what I do when I embrace them in love, what I do is I see them as coming to me from God for my salvation, for His glory, and the salvation of the world. That's different. Now that's hard because a lot of times the things that happen in my life are really, really unpleasant and painful, and I want to run away from them. But in fact, if I am living from within, if I am dwelling in my heart, in my own heart, and listening to the voice of God, then even when bad things happen, I can pause for a moment, not be overwhelmed by them, and reflect on what they might mean for my salvation, for God's glory, for the salvation of the world. This and that. If I am focusing on this and that too much at the expense of my inner life, I will simply be overwhelmed, and there is no way that I'll be able to move forward. What I need to do, what you need to do, what we all need to do, is to carve out times of silence and reflection so that we can hear the voice of God. Is that something that you want to do? Do you want to hear the voice of God? Do you want to dwell in your own heart? That's a hard question to answer, because if we know anything about our own hearts, we know that there are all sorts of things in there that make us uncomfortable and ashamed. Which is why when I go to dwell in my own heart, I need to go armed with grace. I need to go with the conviction that in my heart, Jesus Christ is waiting there to greet me. See, ultimately, that's why I come to dwell in my own heart, because that's where Jesus dwells. And in Jesus Christ, all of the different elements of my life are brought together in a saving whole. Well, I'm going to leave you there for now. We have liturgy in about an hour. So hopefully you'll be able to join us here in Madison at St. Cyril Methodius. If you're not able to worship with us in person, well, hopefully you'll be able to join us online. If you do join us online, give us a thumbs up or a heart, make a comment, ask a question, anything so that we know you're there. So I'm going to scoot out here because I got to get ready for liturgy. So God bless everyone. Christ is risen, and I'll see you in about an hour. Bye-bye.